Okay, so imagine this. You're like totally drowning in this sea of documents, right?
Hmm.
And you're like frantically trying to find the answer to this like super important question.
Oh, it's the worst.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Totally.
But what if like AI could actually help us, navigate this crazy information overload
Yeah.
and actually like understand what we need instead of just like, you know, spitting back random facts?
Right.
Well, that's exactly what this Get Siege thing is all about.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating approach to AI, combining these like really clever techniques to help machines use external sources to answer our questions.
Mm.
It's not just about giving AI access to information, it's
Yeah.
about helping them actually grasp the meaning and the connections within that information.
So it's like giving AI a superpower,
Yeah,
like the ability to actually comprehend the information it's working with.
exactly. Traditional retrieval methods are kind of like reading a book by randomly flipping through the pages.
Mm.
You might stumble upon a few like relevant sentences, but you completely miss the big picture. Right.
Sketch is different. It uses this idea called semantic chunking to organize information into meaningful units.
So instead of just chopping text into these like arbitrary pieces,
Yeah,
it's more like grouping sentences that actually belong together,
Mhm.
kind of like chapters in a book.
That's a great analogy. It's about understanding the semantic structure of the text, not just the surface level.
Okay.
And then to take even further, Sketch uses a knowledge graph to connect the dots between these different chunks of information.
So it's like creating a map of all the ideas in the text and how they relate to each other.
Precisely. Think of it as this web of interconnected concepts where each node represents an idea
Uh-huh.
and the links show the relationships between them.
Mm,
This allows Sketch to do some really cool things like multi-hop reasoning, where it can combine information from multiple sources to answer complex questions.
that sounds impressive.
Yeah.
But did they actually put Sketch to the test?
Oh, yeah.
Like, how do we know that it really works?
They put it through the ringer.
The researchers tested Sketch on 4 very different data sets,
Okay.
each with its own unique challenges.
Gotcha.
First up, we have the Italian cuisine dataset,
Okay.
a relatively small and specific dataset focused on, well, Italian cuisine.
Makes sense.
This was a good starting point to see how Sketch handles basic information retrieval and multi-context questions, where the answer might be spread across multiple paragraphs or even documents.
So it's like asking Sketch to find the perfect pasta recipe, even if the instructions are scattered throughout the cookbook.
Exactly.
I'm already intrigued.
And the results were pretty impressive.
Okay.
Sketch achieved an answer relevancy of 0.94 on this dataset, meaning it was getting almost every answer right.
Wow.
And its context precision was a whopping 0.99.
Oh, wow.
This means it was pinpointing the exact information needed to answer the question with incredible accuracy.
That's a pretty strong start.
Yeah.
So Italian cuisine was the appetizer.
Uh-huh.
What was the main course? What other data sets did they use to really challenge Sketch?
They wanted to see how Sketch would handle things when the stakes were higher.
Okay.
So they threw it into the deep end with quality, a data set known for its long documents. We're talking thousands of words, dense information, the
Yeah.
kind of stuff that makes your eyes glaze over.
That sounds like my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
But Sketch was able to handle it.
Surprisingly well, actually.
Really?
And this is where the power of semantic chunking and the knowledge graph really shone through.
Good.
Remember, Sketch isn't just grabbing random bits of text. It's understanding the structure and relationships between ideas.
Uh-huh.
This allowed it to navigate these massive documents and still find the relevant information.
So it's like having a GPS for navigating those information-dense highways. Where
Exactly.
you like zoom in and out,
Yeah,
find the right exits, and avoid getting lost in that overwhelming vastness.
exactly. And the results speak for themselves.
Okay.
On quality, Sketch achieved an answer relevancy score of 0.73, a significant improvement over the baseline, which only scored 0.49.
Okay, that's impressive.
Yeah,
But what about those other metrics?
sure.
Like faithfulness and context precision?
Uh-huh.
Did Sketch maintain its lead?
Well, on faithfulness, Sketch did pretty well, scoring 0.69.
I-
However, the baseline actually scored higher at 0.83.
Interesting. It seems like there might be room for improvement when it comes to representing the nuances of the source material accurately,
Yeah.
especially in those longer documents.
Right.
What about context precision? Did Sketch continue to excel in that area?
Absolutely. It achieved a score of 0.31 compared to the baseline's measly 0.04.
Wow.
So even though it might not always capture every nuance perfectly,
Right?
it's still remarkably good at pinpointing the relevant information within these complex texts.
It's quite a feat considering the sheer volume of information it had to sift through.
Definitely.
So we've seen how Sketch handled Italian cuisine
Mm,
and the long documents of quality.
right.
What other challenges did they throw at it?
Well, next up was CASPR, a dataset focused on scientific papers.
Interesting.
And this one was a real test of Sketch's ability to handle complex language,
Yeah,
intricate arguments, and multi-hop reasoning.
right.
Think about those scientific papers with dense terminology and winding logic.
Uh-huh.
It's not easy to extract meaning from them.
It's like trying to solve a puzzle where the clues are scattered throughout a textbook,
Yeah,
and you need to like connect the dots to get the full picture.
exactly.
So how did Sketch handle this academic obstacle course?
Remember that knowledge graph we talked about?
Yeah.
That's where Sketch really had an edge. It was able to connect information from different parts of the scientific papers, allowing it to perform that multi-hop reasoning and answer those tough questions.
Okay.
And the results were quite remarkable.
Okay, give me the numbers.
All right.
How much better was Sketch compared to the other approaches?
On CASPR for answer relevancy, Sketch doubled the score of the baseline approach.
Wow.
It achieved a score of 0.56 compared to the baseline's 0.28.
Wow, 100% improvement. Sure.
Yeah,
That's a pretty clear victory for Sketch.
it was.
What about those other metrics like faithfulness and context precision?
Sure.
Did it hold its own against the competition?
When it came to faithfulness, Sketch did exceptionally well,
Okay.
scoring an impressive 0.93.
Wow.
So it seems like it has a knack for accurately representing the information from these complex scientific texts. As for context precision, Sketch also performed very well,
Okay.
achieving a score of 0.67,
Mm,
while another approach did slightly better.
right.
Sketch's performance was much more balanced across all the metrics, which is key in real-world scenarios where you need systems that can handle a variety of challenges.
So it sounds like Sketch is a bit of an overachiever,
Yeah,
excelling in multiple areas rather than just specializing in one.
exactly.
Okay, we've seen how it handled Italian cuisine, long documents, and scientific papers.
Mhm.
What else did they test it on?
They saved the most interesting for last.
Okay.
Narrative QA.
Interesting.
A dataset focused on understanding stories. Now, this one is particularly fascinating because it requires the AI to go beyond simple fact retrieval.
Mm.
It needs to understand characters' motivations, plot developments, and even the emotional undertones of the story.
It's like asking the AI to not just read a book, but to actually comprehend it
Yeah.
and appreciate it on a deeper level, like a human reader would.
Right.
That's a pretty tall order for a machine.
Definitely.
So how did Sketch fare against this narrative challenge?
It was a real test of Sketch's ability to go beyond simple information retrieval and actually understand the meaning behind the words. And surprisingly, it did remarkably well.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. What were the results?
For answer relevancy, Sketch achieved a score of 0.50,
Okay.
once again outperforming the baseline approach, which only scored 0.08.
Wow.
And on faithfulness, Sketch achieved a remarkable score of 0.87,
Wow.
significantly improving upon the baseline score of 0.09.
That's incredible. It seems like Sketch has a knack for capturing the essence of a story while still providing accurate information.
Yeah.
What about context precision? Did it maintain its winning streak?
In this case, Sketch achieved a score of 0.51,
Okay.
which is good, but another approach did slightly better. However, just like with the CASPR dataset,
Uh-huh.
Sketch's overall performance was much more balanced, demonstrating its ability to handle a diverse range of challenges.
It sounds like Sketch isn't always the top scorer in every category, but its
Yeah.
consistency across all the metrics is really impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've seen how Sketch each tackled these 4 very different data sets, each with its own unique challenges.
Right.
But before we dive deeper into each one,
Okay.
what's the overall takeaway here?
Yeah.
What does this research tell us about the potential of AI and knowledge discovery?
I think this research is truly exciting because it shows us that by combining different AI techniques like semantic chunking and knowledge graphs, we can make significant leaps forward in how well machines comprehend and utilize information. It's not just about throwing more data at the problem. It's about approaching it in a smarter, more structured way.
So it's like we're teaching AI to think more like humans,
Exactly.
to see the connections between ideas and understand the bigger picture,
Uh-huh.
not just focus on isolated facts.
Exactly. And the implications of that are huge.
Mm.
Imagine a world where AI can help us make sense of the vast amounts of information we generate every day.
Yeah.
Think about research, for example. AI could sift through countless scientific papers,
Uh-huh.
connect the dots between different studies,
Right.
and help researchers make groundbreaking discoveries.
That's a game changer.
Yeah,
Instead of spending months or even years poring over literature,
right.
researchers could have an AI assistant that helps them quickly identify the most relevant and insightful information.
Exactly.
What about other fields?
Uh,
Where else could this technology have a major impact?
the possibilities are almost endless. Think about education. Students could ask AI complex questions about their studies and receive comprehensive answers tailored to their level of understanding.
Right.
Or imagine businesses using AI to analyze market trends,
Hmm.
understand customer behavior, and make more informed decisions.
It's like having an army of super intelligent analysts working for you,
Yeah,
constantly crunching data and providing insights that would have been impossible to uncover manually.
exactly.
This is seriously mind-blowing stuff.
It is.
But okay, I'm curious to dig a little deeper into Sketch itself.
Sure.
We've talked about the results,
Uh-huh.
but what makes it tick?
Okay.
What are some of the key innovations that make it so effective?
Well, one of the most important aspects is that semantic text splitting we discussed earlier. Remember, traditional retrieval methods often grab random chunks of text without understanding the context.
Right. It's like trying to understand a movie by watching random clips out of order.
Yeah.
You might get a few glimpses of the action, but you'd completely miss the plot.
Exactly. Semantic text splitting allows Sketch to group sentences that actually belong together, ensuring it retrieves information that's actually relevant to the question.
Yeah.
It's like dividing a book into chapters based on their themes and topics.
Uh-huh.
This gives Sketch a solid foundation for understanding the information it's working with.
So it's not just about breaking things down.
Right.
It's about breaking them down in a way that makes sense,
Uh-huh.
that preserves the meaning and context.
Exactly.
I get it.
Okay.
But what about the knowledge graph? How does that fit into the picture?
Well, once Sketch has organized the information into meaningful chunks, it uses the knowledge graph to capture the relationships between the concepts within those chunks.
Huh?
Think of it as a web of interconnected ideas where each node represents a concept, and the links show how those concepts are related. This allows Sketch to perform what we call multi-hop reasoning.
Okay, break that down for me. What exactly is multi-hop reasoning and why is it so important?
It means that Sketch can combine information from multiple sources to answer complex questions.
Okay.
Let's say you ask, what ingredients are commonly used in pasta dishes originating from the Lazio region?
Uh-huh.
Sketch can navigate that knowledge graph, hopping from the concept of pasta dishes to Lazio region to ingredients to find the answer.
So it's like having a detective who can follow a trail of clues,
Right.
connecting the dots between different pieces of evidence to solve the mystery.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I'm still a bit fuzzy on how the semantic text splitting and the knowledge graph actually work together.
Sure.
It seems like two separate processes.
They are distinct processes, but they work in this beautifully synergistic way.
Yeah.
During indexing, Sketch first applies semantic text splitting to break down the document into those meaningful chunks we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Then it uses the knowledge graph to capture the relationships between the different concepts identified within those chunks.
It's like organizing a library first,
Yeah.
creating those well-defined sections, and then creating a map that shows how all the different sections are connected.
That's a great way to visualize it. And when a user asks a question,
Okay.
Sketch uses both the semantic chunks and the knowledge graph to find the most relevant information.
Gotcha.
It's like having a librarian who can not only point you to the right section of the library, but also help you connect the dots between different books to find the specific answer you're looking for.
This is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
It's like giving AI the ability to think on multiple levels,
Uh-huh.
to see the big picture and the fine details simultaneously.
Right.
But, okay, let's bring this back down to earth for a moment.
Sure.
We've talked about the potential, but what about the challenges?
Okay.
What are some of the limitations of Sketch, and what are researchers doing to address them?
One of the challenges highlighted in the research is the issue of faithfulness. While Sketch did very well in accurately representing the source material, there were instances where it struggled to capture the nuances and complexities of the original text, especially in the quality data set with those long documents.
So it's like summarizing a dense philosophical treatise in a few bullet points.
Yeah.
You might get the main ideas across,
Right.
but you'd inevitably lose some of the depth and nuance.
Exactly.
What are some potential solutions to this faithfulness challenge?
One promising approach is to incorporate more human feedback into the training process.
Hmm.
By having humans evaluate the accuracy and nuance of sketches, summaries, and answers,
Right.
researchers can fine-tune its ability to capture those subtle shades of meaning.
It's like having a writing coach for your AI, helping it refine its style and ensure that it's not just spitting back facts,
Right.
but truly understanding and representing the nuances of the source material.
That's a great analogy. And another challenge is scalability.
Okay.
Building and maintaining those massive knowledge graphs can be a computationally expensive process, especially as the amount of information we generate continues to grow exponentially.
So it's like building a library that can hold all the books in the world.
Yeah,
You need a solid infrastructure and some clever organizational strategies to make it work.
exactly. Researchers are exploring more efficient algorithms for building these knowledge graphs and leveraging the power of cloud computing to handle the massive amounts of data involved.
It sounds like there's a lot of work to be done,
Yeah,
but the potential rewards are huge.
definitely.
Okay, we've talked about faithfulness and scalability.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other limitations researchers are grappling with?
Another area that requires careful consideration is the potential for bias in AI systems.
Hmm.
SCH, like any machine learning model, is only as good as the data it's trained on.
Right.
If that data reflects existing biases, those biases can be amplified in the system's outputs.
That's a crucial point.
It is.
It's like recognizing that even the most advanced AI is still a product of its creators
Yeah,
and the data it's exposed to.
exactly. What are some strategies for addressing this bias challenge?
Yeah, what are those?
Researchers are exploring a variety of techniques, such as data augmentation, where they add more diverse data to the training set, and algorithmic auditing, which involves carefully analyzing the AI's decision-making process to identify and correct potential biases.
So it's like being a responsible architect,
Yeah.
making sure that the foundation of your AI system is solid and free of cracks that could lead to unfair or discriminatory outcomes.
That's a great way to put it. This is all incredibly important work.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, we've explored the potential of Sketch, the technical innovations, and the challenges that researchers are still working to address.
Right.
But before we wrap up, I want to bring this back to our listeners.
Okay.
What does all of this mean for them?
Yeah.
Why should they care about this AI research?
Well, think about it this way. We're all bombarded with information every day. It's coming at us from all directions. News articles, social media emails, research papers. The list goes on and on. It can be overwhelming.
Totally.
And it's hard to know what to trust, what's relevant, and how to make sense of it all.
It's like trying to drink from a fire hose.
Hmm.
You get a lot of water,
Yeah.
but it's impossible to process it all.
Exactly. And that's where AI like Sketch comes in. It can help us filter through the noise, find the information that's actually important to us, and understand it in a deeper way.
So it's like having a personal AI assistant that can help us navigate the information overload
Uh-huh.
and actually learn and grow from it,
Right.
rather than just feeling overwhelmed.
Exactly.
That's a pretty compelling vision of the future.
That is.
But okay, we've covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah.
We've talked about Italian cuisine, long documents, scientific papers, and even stories.
Right.
I'm curious to go back and dig a little deeper into each of those data sets.
Okay.
Starting with the Italian cuisine data set, what were some of the specific challenges and results that stood out?
The Italian cuisine dataset was fascinating because it allowed the researchers to analyze Sketchy's performance on a smaller, more controlled scale. While it might not sound as complex as tackling scientific papers or lengthy documents, it presented some unique challenges, particularly when it came to what we call multi-context retrieval.
Okay, I'm
Well-
intrigued. What exactly is multi-context retrieval, and why was the Italian cuisine dataset a good testing ground for it?
Imagine you're trying to find the perfect pasta recipe, but the instructions are spread out across different sections of a cookbook.
Uh-huh.
You might have the ingredients list on one page, the cooking instructions on another, and tips on how to make the sauce on yet another page.
Right.
That's multi-context retrieval in action.
Okay.
It's about finding answers that span across multiple paragraphs or even multiple documents.
So it's like Sketchy's playing a game of culinary hide and seek,
Yeah.
trying to track down those scattered bits of information to assemble the complete recipe.
Exactly.
And how did it do? Was it able to find all the ingredients for a successful pasta dish?
It passed with flying colors. Despite those scattered bits of information, Sketch achieved an answer relevancy score of 0.94 on the Italian cuisine dataset.
Wow.
That means it was getting almost every answer right. And what's even more impressive is that its context precision was a remarkable 0.99.
Oh, wow.
This means it was pinpointing the exact information needed to answer the question with incredible accuracy.
So it's not just finding the right ingredients, it's
Mm.
finding the right instructions, the right tips, all the pieces of the puzzle to create a delicious and satisfying answer.
Exactly.
That's pretty amazing.
It is.
Okay, we've explored the Italian cuisine dataset,
Uh-huh.
those long documents and quality,
Right.
the complex world of scientific papers in Kesper,
Yeah.
and even the realm of storytelling in narrative QA.
Right.
It seems like Sketch is a bit of an overachiever,
It is.
tackling all of these diverse challenges with impressive results.
Yeah.
But as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to shift gears and talk about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
What does this research tell us about the future of AI? Where do we go from here?
This research is a glimpse into a future where AI can help us navigate the ever-expanding universe of information in a way that's both efficient and insightful. It's not just about finding needles in haystacks. It's about understanding the haystacks themselves, the connections between the needles and the stories they tell. Imagine a world where we can ask AI complex questions about any topic and receive comprehensive, accurate, and nuanced answers, almost like having a conversation with the world's smartest expert.
It's like having access to a vast library of knowledge.
Yeah.
But instead of dusty shelves and endless card catalogs, we have an AI librarian who knows every book inside and out and can guide us to the exact information we need.
Right.
That's a pretty powerful vision of the future.
It is.
But with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Oh, definitely.
What are some of the ethical considerations we need to keep in mind as AI becomes more sophisticated and integrated into our lives?
That's an important question. As AI evolves, it's crucial that we use it responsibly and ethically. We need to ensure that it's used to benefit humanity, not to harm or exploit. Transparency is key. We need to understand how AI systems arrive at their conclusions and be able to audit them for bias and fairness.
So it's not just about building smarter machines.
Right.
It's about building machines that we can trust, machines that align with our values and help us create a better world for everyone.
Exactly. And that requires ongoing dialogue and collaboration between AI researchers, ethicists, policymakers, and the public. We need to have these conversations now as AI is rapidly evolving to ensure that we're shaping a future where technology serves humanity, not the other way around.
Well said. It's a reminder that the future of AI is not predetermined.
Yeah.
It's a future that we're creating together through the choices we make and the conversations we have.
Definitely.
So let's keep exploring, let's keep questioning, and let's keep striving to build a future where AI empowers us to be our best selves.
I couldn't agree more. The future of AI is full of possibilities, and it's up to us to ensure that those possibilities are used for good.
That's a perfect note to end on. So keep those minds curious, fellow knowledge seekers, and join us next time for another deep dive into the world of cutting-edge technology and the future we're building together.
Yeah, it really highlights the power of combining different approaches. Instead of relying on just one technique, they're bringing together semantic chunking and knowledge graphs, and it's leading to some pretty impressive results.
So we're basically teaching AI to think more like us, right?
Exactly. It's about helping machines see those connections between ideas, grasp the bigger picture, instead of just getting stuck on those isolated facts.
And what kind of impact could this have on,
Yeah.
the real world?
Well, think about research for a second. Imagine AI that can sift through tons of scientific papers, connect the dots between different studies, and help researchers make those groundbreaking discoveries.
So instead of researchers spending months or even years poring over all this literature,
Right.
they could have an AI assistant that's like, hey, here's the most relevant and insightful info.
Exactly. It could totally revolutionize how we approach research.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about other fields? Where else could this tech make a big difference?
Oh, the possibilities are huge. I mean, think about education. Students could ask AI these super complex questions about their studies and get back these really comprehensive answers that are tailored to, how much they understand.
And it could help businesses too, right?
Absolutely. They could use AI to analyze market trends, understand customer behavior, make smarter decisions.
It's like having this army of super smart analysts working for you 24/7.
Right. Constantly crunching data and giving you insights that you'd never be able to uncover on your own.
Okay, this is seriously cool.
Mhm.
But I want to dig a little deeper into Sketch itself.
Sure.
What actually makes it work? What are the secret ingredients?
Well, one of the most important things is that semantic text splitting we talked about earlier. Remember how traditional methods just grab random chunks of text without any real understanding of the context?
Right. It's like trying to follow a movie by just watching random scenes.
Exactly. You might get a few cool visuals, but you'd have no idea what's going on.
You'd be so lost.
Yeah. And that's where semantic text splitting comes in. It lets SketchCH group sentences that actually belong together, so it's only retrieving information that's actually relevant to the question.
Gotcha. So it's more like dividing a book into chapters based on the themes and topics.
That's a great way to put it. And this gives SketchCH a much stronger foundation for understanding the information it's working with.
So it's not just about breaking things down.
Right.
It's about breaking them down in a way that actually makes sense.
Exactly. You got to preserve that meaning and context.
Okay, I'm with you. So then how does the knowledge graph come into play?
So once SketchCH has organized the information into these meaningful chunks, it uses the knowledge graph to map out the relationships between the different concepts in those chunks.
Okay.
Think of it like a giant web of ideas, where each node is a concept, and the links show how those concepts are connected.
And this is what allows Sketch to do that multi-hop reasoning thing.
Precisely.
Okay, but break that down for me.
Yeah.
What exactly is multi-hop reasoning, and why is it such a big deal?
It basically means that Sketch can combine information from multiple sources to answer these really complex questions. So let's say you ask, what ingredients are commonly used in pasta dishes from the Lazio region? Sketch can use that knowledge graph to hop from the idea of pasta dishes to the Lazio region to ingredients.
To find the answer.
Exactly.
So it's like having a detective that can follow a trail of clues.
Right? Yeah, connecting the dots between different pieces of evidence to crack the case.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But I'm still kind of confused about how the semantic text splitting and the knowledge graph work together. Are they totally separate processes?
They are separate, but they work together in a really cool way. So during indexing, SketchH first uses semantic text splitting to break the document down into those meaningful chunks. And then it uses the knowledge graph to capture the relationships between the concepts in those chunks.
So it's like organizing a library first.
Yeah.
And then creating a map that shows you how all the different sections are connected.
That's a perfect analogy. And when you ask Sketch a question, it uses both those things, the semantic chunks and the knowledge graph, to find the best information.
So it's like having a librarian who can not only point you to the right section of the library, but also help you connect the dots between different books to find exactly what you need.
Exactly.
This is blowing my mind. It's like we're giving AI the ability to think on multiple levels.
Yeah, to see the big picture and the tiny details all at once.
Okay, this is all super exciting, but let's get real for a sec.
Yeah.
What about the challenges? What are some of the things that Sketch still struggles with?
Well, one of the challenges they highlight in the research is this issue of faithfulness.
Okay.
So even though Sketch was really good at representing the information accurately, there were times when it struggled to capture all the nuances and the complexities of the original text, especially when it was dealing with those super long documents and the quality data set.
So it's kind of like trying to summarize like a really dense philosophical text in just a couple of bullet points.
Right.
You might get the main ideas,
Yeah.
but you're going to miss some of that depth and nuance.
Exactly.
So what are some of the ways they're trying to fix this faithfulness issue?
One promising approach is to get more humans involved in the training process.
Okay.
So by having humans actually evaluate, how accurate and nuanced Sketch's summaries and answers are, researchers can fine-tune its ability to capture those really subtle shades of meaning.
It's like having a writing coach for your AI.
Exactly.
Making sure it doesn't just spit back facts, but really understands and represents the nuances of the source material.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. And another challenge is scalability.
Okay.
Building and maintaining these huge knowledge graphs. It can be really computationally expensive, especially with the amount of information we're creating these days. It's growing like crazy.
Right. It's like trying to build a library to hold every book in the world.
Yeah. You need some serious infrastructure and some really smart organizational strategies to pull that off.
For sure. So are researchers working on ways to make it more scalable?
Oh, yeah. They're exploring more efficient algorithms for building these knowledge graphs, and they're using the power of cloud computing to handle all that data.
It sounds like there's a lot of work to be done.
There is.
But the potential payoff is huge.
Definitely.
Okay, so we've talked about faithfulness and scalability. Are there any other limitations they're dealing with?
Another big one is the potential for bias in AI systems.
That's a good point.
SketchCH, like any machine learning model, it's only as good as the data it's trained on. So if that data has biases baked in, those biases can get amplified in the system's output.
Right. It's like recognizing that even the most advanced AI is still a product of its creators and the data it's been fed.
Exactly. So how do we make sure that doesn't happen?
Yeah, how do we tackle that bias issue?
Well, researchers are trying a bunch of different things, like data augmentation, where they add more diverse data to the training set.
And algorithmic auditing, where they really dig into the AI's decision-making process to find and fix any potential biases.
So it's kind of like being a responsible architect, right?
Yeah.
Making sure the foundation of your AI system is strong and free of any cracks that could lead to like unfair discriminatory outcomes.
Exactly. This is super important work.
It is. Okay, so we've covered the potential of Sketch, the tech behind it, and the challenges they're working on. But before we wrap up, I want to bring it back to our listeners. Like, why should they care about this AI research?
Well, think about it. We're all drowning in information these days, right?
Yep.
It's coming at us from every direction. News, social media, emails, research papers. It never ends.
Yeah.
And it's seriously overwhelming.
It is.
It's hard to know what to trust, what's relevant, and how to make sense of it all.
It's like trying to drink from a fire hose.
Exactly.
You get a ton of water, but you can't possibly process it all.
Right. And that's where AI like Sketch comes in. It can help us filter out all the noise, find the information that actually matters to us, and understand it on a deeper level. So it's like having a personal AI assistant that can help us deal with all this information overload and actually learn and grow from it
Right.
instead of just feeling totally overwhelmed.
Exactly.
That's a pretty awesome vision of the future.
Yeah.
But we've talked a lot about the big picture today.
Yeah.
I want to go back and dive into each of those data sets a little more. Starting with the Italian cuisine data set, what were some of the specific challenges and results that stood out?
It was a great way to like see how Sketch handled this thing called multi-context retrieval.
Multi-context retrieval.
Okay.
I'm listening. What is that?
So like imagine you're trying to find the perfect pasta recipe, right? But the instructions are all over the place in the cookbook.
Yeah, I hate when that happens.
Right. So you've got the ingredients list on one page, the cooking instructions on another, and then tips for the sauce somewhere else completely.
Oh, so annoying.
That's multi-context retrieval in action. It's about finding answers that are spread out across like paragraphs or even whole documents.
So Sketch is basically playing culinary hide and seek.
Exactly. It's got to track down all those scattered bits of info to put together the whole recipe.
And how did it manage to find all the right ingredients?
Oh, it totally crushed it. Even with all that scattered information, Sketch got an answer relevancy score of 0.94 on the Italian cuisine dataset.
It's almost every answer, right?
Pretty much. And the even cooler part, its context precision was 0.99.
Wow. So it wasn't just finding the right ingredients.
Nope.
It was finding like the right instructions, the right tips.
Exactly. All the pieces of the puzzle for a perfect answer.
That's amazing. Okay, so we've talked about the Italian cuisine data set, those long documents in quality, the complex world of scientific papers and QSPR, and even storytelling with narrative QA.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have. It seems like Sketch is kind of like an overachiever, right? Taking on all these different challenges and doing really well.
It definitely exceeded expectations.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to zoom out a bit and talk about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
What does all this research tell us about where AI is headed?
I think it gives us a glimpse into a future where AI can help us navigate this massive universe of information we're living in, but in a way that's not just efficient, it's actually insightful too.
Right. It's not just about finding a needle in a haystack anymore.
Exactly. It's about understanding the haystack itself, the connections between those needles, and even the stories they tell.
That's a great way to put it. So imagine a world where we can ask AI these complex questions about anything.
Yeah.
And get back these comprehensive, nuanced answers. Almost like we're talking to like the world's smartest expert.
It would change everything.
It would. It's like having access to this infinite library of knowledge. But instead of those dusty shelves and endless card catalogs, they have this like super smart AI librarian who knows every book inside and out.
And can point you to exactly what you need.
That's a powerful vision of the future. But you know what they say?
What's that?
With great power comes great responsibility.
Oh, for sure.
So as AI gets more advanced and becomes more integrated into our lives, what are some of the ethical things we need to be thinking about?
That's a really important question. As AI evolves, we got to make sure we're using it responsibly and ethically. You know, making sure it's used to help humanity, not harm it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So transparency is key.
Absolutely. We need to understand how these AI systems are making decisions and be able to check them for bias and fairness.
It's not just about building smarter machines.
Right.
It's about building machines that we can actually trust, machines that reflect our values and help us build a better world for everyone.
That's it. And that means we need to keep having these conversations, between AI researchers, ethicists, policymakers, and the public. We need to be talking about this now while AI is still developing to make sure we're creating a future where technology serves us, not the other way around.
That's a great point. It reminds us that the future of AI isn't set in stone. We're the ones shaping it through the choices we make and the conversations we have.
It's a collaborative effort.
Exactly. So let's keep exploring. Let's keep asking questions. And let's keep working towards a future where AI helps us all be our best selves.
Couldn't have said it better myself. The future of AI is wide open, and it's up to us to make sure we use it for good.
That's a perfect note to end on, so keep those minds curious, fellow knowledge seekers. And join us next time for another deep dive into the world of cutting-edge tech and the future we're building together.